problem, let's play a fun little matching game. So we need to know, we need to learn about the different names for the properties from addition. Commutativity, associativity, inverse property, and identity property. Okay, for the commutative property, think of commuting as going back and forth to school or work. So what the commutative property is going to say is that the order doesn't matter. Going back is the same route as coming towards. So if we look at all of the different options here on the right, the commutative property is going to match best with this one that says A plus B is the same as B plus A. In other words, order doesn't matter when all you're doing is adding. Second one, associativity. Think of associativity like cliques in high school or something like that. When you're hanging out with people, if you associate with other people, then there are no cliques, so you can move between the different groups, right? The nerds can hang out with the jocks who can hang out with the members of the chess team or whatever. So the one we're looking for is the one that has grouping, regrouping, and the borders not mattering between pieces. So that was going to match most well with this property up here, where we say if we do A plus B first and then we add C, it's the same as just taking A and adding on B plus C already added together. Third property is inverse property. Inverse is the way that we get towards the identity. So actually, let's define identity first now in hindsight. If I do the identity is the number that you add to something that keeps it identical. So with addition, of course, this is going to be pointing towards this special property right here, where you're taking a number A, adding 0, and still keeping the number A. So 0 is what we call an identity in addition. Then the inverse property is the special number that you can add to another number that gives you that identity. So since the identity is 0, hence why I define that one first, then the thing that you add to a number that gives you 0 is the opposite of that number. And so inverse is going to connect well with this property. A plus the opposite of A gives you 0. So look at this sheet, think about it for a second, think about those explanations, and then pause the video and try these problems on your own. Match the property on the left with the rule on the right. So assuming you gave it a shot here, commutativity was the order doesn't matter. So I tried to be sneaky here, see if you caught it. This one matches with this property, because notice the only difference between here and there. Left side I have 2 plus 3, and on the right I have 3 plus 2. So all I did was change the order of the things in which they were being added. So I put parentheses in there to make you fall for maybe associativity. So if you fell for associativity, that's okay. But remember that commutativity is order doesn't matter. Associativity then is going to match down here, because this is the one where we regrouped, and instead of keeping 7 and 2 together, we associated them differently and moved the 2 over to group with the -1. And the associativity means things associate and they can regroup as needed. Identity property would be the one that says when you add 0 to something, it keeps it the same, keeps it identical. So here I used one of our irrational numbers. Pi plus 0 is equal to pi. So by elimination, I guess, the last one's going to have to come up here, but you might notice that if you take a number like 7 and you add to it -7, those are opposites of each other, so they cancel out and become the number 0. This is the inverse property.